Okay, behind me on the board is the list of English clubs as of the 1st of August 2018 that had ownership from the US, be it in part or in full. There are some names on this list of clubs that really surprise me, and others we are well known with who owns the club. Let's start at the top. We'll start with Arsenal, with Stan Kroenke. Yep, sole owner of Arsenal Football Club. Key reason why they're playing at the Emirates. Yeah. Bournemouth is split 75-25, and the 25% stake is taken by Peak Six Investments, which is an investment group from the US. So even Bournemouth has a quarter of its ownership shares in American money. Crystal Palace, two-fifths of the owners are American. There are 5 owners involved with Palace, two of them are American, in Joshua Harris and David S. Blitzer. Yes, that is his real name. His real name is David S. Blitzer. So Palace are partly owned by American money. Fulham, solely owned by Sahid Khan. We know what happened with his attempted purchase of Wembley in the summer and how that went. Liverpool is owned by the Fenway Sports Group. They bought the club off Gillette and Hicks a few years ago. They also own the Boston Red Sox in obviously the Major League Baseball. Man United is owned by the Glazer family. So these 3 teams are owned by owners who also own other Major League sports teams in the US. The Glazer family own the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Fulham's owner Sahid Khan obviously owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now we get on outside the Premier League. So there's 6 clubs in the Premier League with American money, and now we get into the Championship and League One and League Two. So the Football League. Aston Villa, Wesley Edens still has 23.7% stake as of August the 1st. He came in after the administration fears. Barnsley, Cheyenne Lee, Paul Conway, and Billy Bean. Yep, 3 of their owners are American. And Billy Bean, that is his name, I've checked. Millwall, they're owned by American money. John Berylson has a large stake in Millwall as one of the owners. Now, Eddishaw and Sunderland, obviously Sunderland, I don't believe are no longer owned by Eddishaw, but he did own the club as of the 1st of August. I believe he's since sold the club when they fell into League One and paid off the club's debt, but he was American money. Swansea, Stephen Kaplan and Jason Levine. Swansea's owned by Americans. Yep, they own Swansea, and they've really, over in America, in their local community, really advertised heavily Swansea City. So there's a lot of American fans of Swansea City. Portsmouth, after all their troubles in the last decade, are owned by a guy called Michael Eisner, now owns the club at Portsmouth. American. Yep, so they have some financial stability for the first time in a decade. And last but not least on this list, because they were in League Two at the time this list was compiled by people who obviously have used the Wikipedia page for club ownership. They regularly update it with Companies House. Coventry City were owned by Joy Seppala, who's of Finnish descent but has an American passport, and Dermot Coleman. So, yeah, in total, it's 4, 6. There are 12 clubs in English football, possibly 11 with Sunderland and Ellis Short. I don't think he owns the club anymore. I think he sold it on. But in total, there is a fair few clubs owned by foreign money. That's 6 in the Premier League and 6 in the Football League. That's 12 in total, are owned or have been owned from America and have money investment from the US. Which shows, I'm stunned with Coventry City and Portsmouth, for example. Swansea and Sunderland have been in the Premier League. I'm not surprised with that. So with Aston Villa. Barnsley, they fluctuate between the Championship and League One. They have been in the Premier League in the past. Millwall, I'm really surprised by as well. There's some surprises on this list. But it shows the interest in British football from the American market. I haven't even got onto Dundee and Dundee United yet. I forgot that Dundee was owned by an American group. And Dundee United has just been bought by an American owner. So even in Scottish football, there's American ownership now. But I'm really, really stunned by the amount of clubs that have American money bankrolling them. And there are some clubs on here I wasn't expecting, such as Millwall and Coventry City. Really surprised to see those clubs owned by Americans, or part owned by Americans. But there you go, there's a brief list of English football clubs with owners from the USA, and there are some surprises on that list. But it does show the interest in British football and European football from the American market. It shows one of the reasons why, with all this ownership of some big clubs like Liverpool, Man United and Arsenal, Palace and Fulham in the Premier League, and Aston Villa in the Championship, to some smaller clubs like Portsmouth, that have been in the Premier League at some point and were a bigger club in what they were doing when they won the FA Cup, and how rapidly they declined. But it's really interesting to see that every professional league, as when this list was compiled, because Coventry City obviously got promoted from League Two, and Sunderland got relegated from the Championship as this list was being compiled. Um, it does show the interest in all the professional leagues here in the UK from America, which is probably one of the reasons why the MLS has struggled at times to get the owners to invest, when actually they're more interested in investing overseas. But there we go. It was just a little bit of fun. A brief look at the list of American owners of English football clubs. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. If your club is owned by any one of these owners, what are your thoughts on them? Obviously, the Glazer family at the moment here, these guys under the spotlight for the sacking of Mourinho. Fulham and Sahih Khan's under the spotlight for his attempted purchase of Wembley and corruption allegations. And Stan Kroenke, he's been under the spotlight in the past as well. So some of the bigger clubs on this list, some of their owners are under the spotlight for some of their dealings. And the Glazer family is because of the Mourinho sacking and what's happened at United with the amount of debt. Sahih Khan with the attempt to buy Wembley and corruption allegations against him and his ownership group, and Stan Kroenke for the lack of spending in the transfer market and where some of that money has come from as well. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, place your comments below, and I'll have some more videos for you soon.